got Mr. RyanLacey here with me.
Hello.
Let's start off. How long have you been working at Ackerman?
I've been at Ackerman for 6 years. Before I came here, I was working at Remington Park as a cameraman.
Your title, your job here is an AC.
Yes.
What does it stand for? Like A?
It stands for assistant camera. The person who's responsible for keeping all this stuff managed and organized, all this camera equipment. They're responsible for building out each camera, either on a Steadicam, a dolly, a jib, a drone, a tripod, just depending on the nature of the shoot.
Talk to me about this stuff right here.
Okay.
All these wires, and what is that, and why is that important for a Steadicam operation?
So this camera goes on the Steadicam, and Shad, he's our operator, he has to be able just to run around the whole set freely without being tethered or attached to anything. So he has to have power at all times. He has to have power supplied to this guy, which is the RT Motion follow focus. What that does is since Shad is moving through space with a fixed camera, with a fixed lens meaning that it doesn't focus itself. The lens is always going to need to be focused for where it is in space, where the talent is in space, whatever subject matter you're shooting. And what I do is I have a remote that wirelessly, communicates with that motor that slowly turns the focus knob. What this ring does is it's got numbers on it that match up with the numbers on the side of the lens, which is usually in feet, like 20 feet, 60 feet, 120 feet. It also gets down into like inches and stuff too for when you're super close. During the shoot, this is what's called a video village, where this bigger monitor is set up. That's where the producer and the director and whoever, creatives are involved. They'll be kind of posted up there to watch the big screen, whereas I'll be kind of off to the side on that smaller monitor, and just being laser focused. It's not always super hard because usually we're on wider lenses as we move, as we do camera movement, but there's times when we do put tighter lenses on, which totally changes the dynamic.
What's the pressure like to kind of make sure that you get it right and you don't mess it up?
The whole shoot comes down to this one day. You have this one little window of time where thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars are, kind of in your hands. Because if you mess
like in your hands.
If you mess this up, then you're just wasting everyone's time and
money.
Yeah, and money. Any time wasted from busted takes and having to redo just because of me not getting my marks right, that's not a good feeling. And that's also true with like any camera problem. Half the job is just making sure you bring everything you need to the set. In pre-production, you talk with your cinematographer and your director of photography, and you kind of come up with a pretty good list of what all you need to pull off the shoot. But then it comes down to me to like have a list and check off every little thing.
When you go into a production, everything is built around time. Time is very important. So this setup right here, that is for Steadicam and all this motors and stuff like that, how long does it take to build that camera out?
30, 45 minutes.
30, 45 minutes?
Yeah.
How long does it take to build out when it's not as intricate as this and it's like a tripod shot?
Like 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah. I've even had build-outs that took me over an hour, hour and a half. There's so many different versions of these things that sometimes you get a new system and you kind of have to learn on the fly and learn how to best modulate, what to put what where. There's
an element of kind of time-saving aspect to owning your own gear and working with the same gear kind of over and over and over again.
Oh yeah, that's huge. Our shoots go so much smoother if we're able to have like prepped the night before, build out cameras, put carts on, put cases on carts, have everything ready so that when we get here at 6 in the morning, all we have to do is roll carts onto the truck and get going. Because once you land on set, it's chaotic. You don't want to have to deal with new problems if you're still like tinkering with building a camera. You want to have everything ready by the time you guys land on set.
You've got this kind of camera, you've got kind of a DSLR setup, and then you've got what is kind of we're seeing more of this kind of like iPhone kind of rigs.
Like a social media type rig.
Technology's getting more advanced. To someone who kind of doesn't know anything about production, it's like this is a big cost. That is something that like is a lot cheaper. Why not just go with that versus like a big rig like that?
Right. Okay. So with these things, it's just a point and shoot. Whatever's in your viewfinder, everything's going to be sharp and in focus. Kind of flat, kind of boring. Whereas cameras like these cinema type cameras and cinema type lenses, everything's going to have this like theatrical feel to it. Like the edges are rounded. Lots of things have kind of gone soft in the background. Subject matter is sharp. It's like it just feels sexy and comfortable. But you have to have like a whole crew to pull these kinds of shoots off, and you have to have a lot of money too. Whereas cameras like the iPhone set up there, it's point shoot. You get what you get, you download it, and it's ready to go. It's not sexy, but it has its place because you can just run and gun. You can get things that a 5-man crew can't get into to get. So yeah, those things definitely are necessary. But my job, being an AC, only really comes into play when you're using the big toys.
Like to offer it up to any questions that the audience might have.
Do you see this as a stepping stone to becoming a cinematographer?
Do you see this being a stepping stone to becoming a cinematographer?
I think most people who get in this business and who gravitate towards being an AC or just in the camera department, that's kind of their end goal, is to network and show their worth. That's how they get plucked up, to the big leagues of being a cinematographer.
So the camera that's in front of us, that camera is how many pieces that you have to put together?
The question was, how many pieces are included into this build out?
10 pieces plus the camera body is 11, and then 8 cables to run through the whole thing to connect it all up. Yeah, and that's just the camera system built for the Steadicam.
We're done. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.